In the summer of 1971, Stanford University psychology professor Philip Zimbardo sought out to execute an experiment to evaluate the effects of authority on human behavior in prisons. After receiving funding from the U.S. Office of Naval Research and obtaining clearance from the Stanford University Research Compliance Office of Human Subjects, an ad was put out in the Palo Alto newspaper to hire 24 male students to take part in the study as either prisoners or guards. 12 students played the part of the prisoner and 12 the guard role. Zimbardo himself, as the experiment owner, also took part as a prison warden. Every effort was made to make the simulation feel as real as possible. The bottom floor of a basement in the psychology department was remade to mimic the real prison, including having prison cells with 3 beds for 3 inmates, a yard, which was actually a hall in the middle where the prisoners could congregate, and a solitary confinement room. There were no windows, no clocks, so no concept of time existed. Arbitrary prison rules were set by the warden and guards to establish authority and assert power. Control tactics, such as the induction process, in which guards stripped down prisoners, put bags over their heads, sprayed them with cleaning detergent, were all put in place in an effort to erase their previous identities so they could be fully immersed in the situation, thus triggering new behaviors of submission. The experiment, which was scheduled to be 2 weeks in duration, was prematurely suspended after 6 days. After 36 hours, one of the prisoners, number 8612, had an emotional breakdown and began to scream and curse in an uncontrollable rage. 5 prisoners had to end their participation early because of the emotional distress caused by the dehumanizing and sadistic behavior of the guards under the watchful and endorsing eye of Zimbardo. Zimbardo fell into his own trap and internalized his role, which resulted in his behaving in a tyrannical manner. The experiment was stopped only by a visiting PhD who was shocked at the state of the participants and especially at Zimbardo's behavior. The evidence demonstrated in the Stanford Prison Experiment shows the ease in which new identities can be internalized and acted upon based on the power of authority. It only took 2 days for the behaviors of seemingly normal, compassionate, and law-abiding students to flip to guards who became sadistic and abusive, and prisoners who became submissive and emotionally broken down. With the Stanford Prison Experiment, Zimbardo identified institutional and systematic factors that would facilitate this type of situation to occur. These are setting up arbitrary and imposed rules to erase identity and exert power to control, having compliant individuals, for example, the guards who said nothing and the prisoners that accepted their behaviors, not having an independent third-party oversight that could control or raise moral and ethical flags to antisocial behavior, and not giving the proper training to guards on how to exert authority in a proper manner. The experiment's prison-guard relationship can also carry over as a metaphor to many life situations. For example, the employee-boss relationship, where employees can be seen as prisoners and bosses as guards. For example, the employee must wear a uniform, must follow arbitrary rules like clocking in and clocking out, eating food at canteens that are often low in nutritional content, having coffee breaks at a specific time, all in efforts to conform to a work culture. The boss, seen as the guard, controls the rules, the rewards, which could be monetary or career-oriented, which is the same as in the prison experiment, where guards would give prisoners privileges if they behaved correctly and offered early parole. Individuals must listen to their inner guide and not be intimidated by stepping out of their expected roles and going against authority, especially when these roles infringe on humanity, freedoms, morals, and ethics. Unfortunately, lessons are hardly learned in society, as we keep seeing similar events such as in the Abu Ghraib prison in Iraq, in which many parallels can be identified with the Stanford Prison Experiment. Deconstructing lifelong conditioning of authoritative power is a difficult task. However, what one can do is reflect on their personal situations to identify similar behaviors as those experienced in the experiment and stop them from repeating. The Zimbardo experiment has given humanity the necessary information to do so. It is up to each one of us to take the lessons, learn, and apply them for the rest of our lives.